Hi everyone, Matthew from Matty's Custom Scale again, and we're moving on to the next part of the weathered car build, and that's to add some actual colour on top of our rust coat. So you would have seen in the earlier clips we'd done the body work, we'd separated the panels, made it look a little bit dinged and dented, added some rust, affect some bubbling paint to some of our panels and some holes, and then we've got that nice textured finish on our rust base coat that we're going to try and leverage with the use of some colour to bring it to life. So I'm going to go with a gloss spar blue. So it's Rust-Oleum, it's a gloss, but it won't look as glossy when we're finished, and it's really just straight out of the can. But there's going to be a few techniques that I'll use to help make it look a little bit more authentically weathered, rather than just spraying it, and I'll show you those three now. None of them are very difficult, because the theme of this build is really just make something that's very realistically weathered but not too difficult. I'm not a professional builder, and so these are just techniques I've picked up that work for me. Alright, so the other process that seems to work quite well, and we'll do that on some of the parts, works good on tailgates and bumpers and things like that, is just a piece of plastic. I'll paint the blue. I'm just showing you an older example that I used, but we'll paint the blue onto a piece of plastic, let it dry, and then just as a process, we'll have the panel ready. I'll get some satin black from a distance. I'll spray it just so it's a little bit of a mist and provide some sticky portions on the body, and then as soon as we spray it and the paint is wet, I'll go over and press a section of the blue paint that'll be on the plastic. It'll separate and it'll stick to the actual body in like a fragmented fashion, so it looks like there's a lot of stone chips, a lot of flaking of the paint that's gone on, and that's why it works well with some areas. So spray a bit of black, press it on, spray a bit of black, press on another area. That intermittent spraying of the black also adds a little bit of darkness to the paint, the blue paint that we'll put on there as well, so it gives it some layers and some texture and density, right? Or I should say depth. That's the other process. Now, the third process that I like to use is just using a typical masking tape. And what I want to have on like some of the panels is, this is the quarter panel. I want to have the top quite rusty, but then a bit of paint on the bottom half. So what I'll do is I'll actually create some pattern, inconsistent pattern on the tape itself, and I'll show you why we do that in a second. So just by hand torn it, and I'll probably add a little bit more inconsistency because it looks too much of a zigzag at the moment, like that, and maybe like that. Okay, that's my pattern. And then what I'll do is, because I want to keep the top part rusty and the bottom half a little bit more coloured, I'll put the tape along that top edge, and I won't push down the other edge, so you can see it's just flopping over. And it's up to you where you want to stick it down or where you want to have it floating up, but the idea is, as I paint this with the spray can, I'm not going to go for heavy coats like I would if I was doing a traditional paint job. What I'll actually do is spray it in certain areas, and then what this pattern will do is it'll keep, obviously the covered section will remain rust, and then the partly covered areas that are really just forming a shadow at the moment, that will have a lighter dose of the blue paint, and then as we get down to here it'll be a little bit thicker, but we'll be sanding that back through anyway. Also, where I've got these rust holes, I'll also cover these up and we'll fade that all in later on. Okay, so a little bit of tape work to be done, but this is actually where the paint comes to life. I'm not too worried about the back part of the panel, because to be honest, we're just going to leave that rusty inside. So I'll go ahead and I'll do the rest of the panels. It should look like that, and then